Can't have flip watch season without commit season, and commit season, well, we're almost through it. We are basically through it. So you wrote an article on the front page of Rivals.com on 5 Southeast flips. Now, the Southeast it's not the only place that flip happens, but it's where the action happens. So let's start with 5-star wide receiver Tristan Keys. We've talked a bit about him on this channel, but who are you watching when it comes to the flip with Tristan Keys?
Yeah, with Keys, I think he'll be on this flip watch list until he signs with somebody in December, just because of kind of how it went down by the surprise commitment in March to LSU, kind of unexpected there. Then he's taken, visits all over the place, since then. So he doesn't plan on slowing down from everything I've heard. And I think I still go back to Tennessee being the biggest threat. Now, there's some confidence in Baton Rouge at LSU that they can, hold him in this class and keep Tristan Keys as part of this elite group at wide receiver at LSU. But Tennessee is a real threat. There's some optimism there in Knoxville. They can get this done and flip him, whether it's now or September or in December when it counts. But Tennessee's definitely, I feel like, the biggest competition. Then you have Texas A&M would be next. Miami's trying to stay involved. But if you're LSU, I think you have to be a little bit worried about Tennessee.
All right, let's swing it down to South Florida where you got Syracuse. Syracuse commit 5-star Calvin Russell, wide receiver at Miami Northwestern. And this was a big shocker when it went down. People thought Michigan, people thought Miami. There was always Syracuse lingering in the background, but Fran Brown was able to pull it off. And then after hearing from Calvin Russell, it really felt like a personal commitment, but this one's worth watching moving forward, huh?
Yeah, Mario Cristobal and that staff are not going to give up on a player in their backyard, just miles from Coral Gables and that campus at Miami, until Calvin Russell puts the pen to the paper in December. I'm told they're going to go as hard as they, quote unquote, have to get Calvin Russell to flip to the Miami Hurricanes. Look, his mom's in the Hall of Fame there at Miami. He's been there a million times. But like you said, Fran Brown connected with Calvin Russell. They offered him early. They made it personal. They made him a top guy for well over a year. And they beat Michigan on the night of the commitment. Yes, Miami was involved in too, and they're going to be, I think, even more involved in the coming months. For me, Syracuse has to be wary of Miami lurking this fall and making that strong push at the end for Calvin Russell.
All right, the next one, Ole Miss 4-star linebacker Isaiah Williams. He's on this list because he's already made 5 commitments, and we're not even a flip season yet. So Isaiah Williams from Leesburg, Florida, right outside Gainesville, but he was already once a Florida Gator commitment. That was prior to his verbal to Ole Miss. So a bonus point here if you can name all 5 of the schools that Isaiah Williams has been committed to. But what's the latest on him?
I could probably pass that test. I've said it many times. I'll let the fans do this one. But obviously he's committed right now to Ole Miss. Can Ole Miss keep, the Sunshine State elite defender, in this class? That those questions will go unanswered really until, again, he puts the pen to the paper in December. Could he flip once, twice? Nothing I don't think would shock us with Isaiah. And look, he's a guy that feeds off emotion and kind of what he feels. And at the moment in recruiting, he's kind of gone quiet, since the visits in the summer and being committed to Ole Miss. Florida was his dream school. Look, he's been a Florida fan. He's from Central Florida. He knows a lot about the Gators. We feel they're probably the biggest school to watch or the biggest competition for Ole Miss. Georgia's going to remain and keep swinging in this race. They had him on campus for an OV. They've been to an in-home in the spring. We think Florida and Georgia probably 1 and 2. Florida State hasn't gone away. Texas has tried to get involved to an extent. We'll see where he pops up at this fall, but we do think he'll be one to watch until December. In Florida, probably the biggest comp with Georgia, not far behind.
All right, this one breaks my heart to do it, but we got to talk about Sacramento State 4-star wide receiver commitment Xavier McDonald, because when he made his commitment, it was a feel-good story. The 4-star out of Mississippi is the first blue-chip recruit to commit to Sac State, but it might not be for long, Chad.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for Sac State is since he committed, it's been the dead period. He can't go anywhere. But that's going to change here in September. We'll
Right.
see, how many times, the Morton star in Mississippi pops back up down the road in Oxford at Ole Miss. We know that was the school trending extremely hard leading up to that commitment. Other schools have been in the mix. LSU, they're still recruiting him. They missed on Jace Matthews. They could try to get re-engaged deeper with
Hmm.
Xavier McDonald. Tennessee's been involved there. But the one school we're watching right now is Ole Miss. Can Sac State and that school all the way across the country in Northern California pull an elite talent from Mississippi down here in the South? It's going to be very difficult. They got him committed. They have him on the hook. Can they reel him in and get him in the boat come December? That's going to be, I think, very difficult. Not ruling it out, but keep an eye on them Ole Miss Rebels.
All right, let's talk Mississippi State three-star defensive lineman commitment, Caleb Morris. Now, he may have slipped through the cracks because he's from the state of Alabama. Mississippi State was able to go in. He's 6'3", 250 pounds, so maybe a little undersized, but the frame to add more, and now teams are starting to maybe double back on him. What are you hearing on Caleb Morris?
Yeah, Josh, the way that State got him committed, he committed there late in May, went on that May 31st OV, came off an OV to Oklahoma State earlier in May. He still had trips to go to Georgia Tech, Houston, Memphis, a few other schools. He's going to take 5, 6, 7 OVs before he planned to make that decision, but he wants to play that interior three technique. You mentioned his size, which is very key in how he gets recruited, but they told him, David Turner, the D-line coach at State, said, hey, look, we want you as a three technique, an inside guy. Use your quickness, use your size to your advantage to help us get up the field and pressure the quarterback. When they showed him that plan, that got him locked in to commit. Since that time, Auburn's turned up the heat. Auburn's got him on an OV now, Halloween weekend on October 31st. He's never been to Auburn. You mentioned, Josh, he's an Alabama kid, an in-state guy. He'll likely be at Auburn a time or two early in the season before the OV to October. That's definitely a school to watch. Colorado's calling every day, every other day, trying to get him to Boulder as well. But right now, Mississippi State has to worry seriously about the in-state Auburn Tigers.
All right, let's hear it from you guys, the real recruiting experts. What do you think on Isaiah Williams? Do you think he'll have a sixth commitment? Where will it be? And for a bonus point, drop his 5 current commitments. Let us know, comment section below.